We're going to start our discussion here, and I'm going to bring out in just a second. Tonight would not be possible if it were not for our next guest, Sharon Hasan. Sharon is Elmer Anderson's sister, and she also served on the Hall of Fame as the treasurer. We're going to give her a warm welcome. Before we do, the beautiful young lady that you saw standing out here, I should have acknowledged earlier, is also the Wayne County Executive's wife, okay, Renata Sills Evans. And let's give her a round of applause. Sharon, you want to come on out? Can you hear me on this? There we go. Okay. Come on out. Come on, we're going to have you. How are you today? Good. We had a good conversation on the phone the other day, and she was telling me some fun stuff that we're going to try to talk about this evening a little bit. As I said earlier, this would not be possible had it not been for you and carrying on the legacy that your brother started. Tell us a little bit about Elmer Anderson. Who was he? What motivated him?
You know, Elmer Anderson, as a child, he always loved sports. He played baseball in...
Oh,
Mine's is not on?
Your mic's not on?
Oh, I don't know.
Just say, count to 10 maybe, and they'll work on it.
1, 2. Okay, I hear it now.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Very good.
Okay, Elmer Anderson was my brother, okay? And he grew up in a household with just my mother, him, and myself. Okay. And he loved sports even as a little child. You know, he played baseball when he was, I think he started playing outside with the kids about 9 years old or 7. He's a little older than me, so I'm trying to figure it out.
That's all right. Just fill in the gap.
I was little myself, so I'm trying to remember everything at that time. I would say he was about 7 because I'm thinking I was about 5 when he started playing with his friends, out in the yard. And then when he came in the house, he would play with little things that he made. He made a little boxing. He made little things that he would play baseball with in the house.
Okay.
And then my mother gave him lessons, boxing lessons, and he also had a ring that he would have little fighters. You know, and I would look at him, I'm like, what is wrong with you? I wasn't sure, where was he going with all this, but he loved sports, and when he would play with his friends out in the yard, he would hit the ball so far that it would go into the playground across the street, and they would get mad with him. They'd hate it when he got up to play. And,
not the team he was playing on, though.
No, right. The ones that the outfielders
the opposition.
at the time, yeah, because they have to go across the street to get the ball. But sometimes they would let me play too, until one time they were playing with my ball, and they decided the little girl couldn't play today. Because I was a little girl, because he's older than me.
Correct.
Well, little sister couldn't play today, so I took my ball and ran in the house. I took my ball.
That was a smart sister. How did he meet Art Finney, and how did they hook up and become such a pair?
Oh, he met Art Finney at Detroit Diesel. My brother had collected a lot of information from a lot of guys that had played baseball and had been on Negro League teams that worked at Detroit Diesel. He didn't know that at first. When he started working there, he started getting information from him.
Okay.
And then he decided that he had to put had to have a way for them to know about it, to read about it. So Art Finney was he worked for the union. He did a newspaper, UAW newspaper, at Detroit Diesel. So my brother says, him and I need to get together our Finney and himself, he had the history, and our Finney had a way to get it out to the mass.
So they combined their talents to really do a lot of research on the Negro Leagues.
Bring him the history, and then they started both, gathering a history from the different people, other than the ones that worked at Detroit Diesel.
The Negro League reunions were important to both of them. Talk a little bit about that and what he may have shared with you that he learned from attending those, and what he got out of it.
What is a pure excitement, and when he went to, he met Satchel Paige and Cool Papa Bell when they were invited to a Negro League reunion, and so they went and they met him, and that was he idolized that man because he was one of his favorite athletes. Well, I would say baseball athletes anyway, and so Satchel Paige told him not to let his dream die, and so that was the best information he could have gotten from anyone.
Yeah. He also told you not to let his dream die, correct?
Yes, he did.
And what was your reaction when he told you that?
Oh my gosh. Okay, sister, how is sister gonna, continue with the organization as just little me, and so this has been a blessing to me to have this happen.
Okay.
And so it's a possibility that, who knows, the museum may want to start the organization again. I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go with this.
All right. Well, so sometimes in life, it's best if we don't know. We just keep on down that road, and it leads to great things.
Do what we got to do. Yeah.
Some years ago, thanks to the Wright Museum and the Ford Motor Company, I got an opportunity to travel out to Kansas City, interview Buck O'Neil, and go around the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And people are always asking me, who was your favorite interview? And you can never answer whenever they ask you that question. But then when you start reflecting, certainly as I start reflecting, Buck O'Neil was one of the most enjoyable interviews I ever had. I remember when he was actually sitting down in that front row during the Ford Freedom Award event, and I looked at him and I said, man, do you look good for, I think at that time he was like 90, 91. And, Buck, he was that bombastic voice, and he stood up and he said, black don't crack. So if you know Buck O'Neil, you know that was him. Did he talk about some of the players he played against and those that maybe impressed him the most? Did he have some favorites or those that maybe he had most difficult time with?
I think he thought he was such a good player that he didn't really ever discuss that with me, that someone else that he played with that he thought so much of.
Okay.
Yeah, because he thought he was good. The people that knew him and the ones that played with and against him thought he was an excellent ball player anyway. Mm-hmm. Because he was tall. He grew to be 6 feet 3 inches tall, and he could hit the ball a long ways, and he was known for his high jumps and his catches, because he played in the outfield. Mm-hmm. So he could, when he was up to bat, he was going to knock it way somewhere that they wanted to go and pick it up.
Your brother was so dedicated to this. You told me that he didn't own a car, right?
He didn't.
So he would go about all this. How did he get around?
Well, he was fortunate to meet a lot of people that was interested in what he was doing and would take him different places. And a lot of times he would get tickets to. He had been invited to different places, and they would give him tickets, and so he usually had 2 tickets. He would give one to his friend, and he would keep one for himself. And so, then yes, they would like to go with him. So,
sure.
and then a lot of times, if he couldn't find someone to take him, he would spend his own money and take a cab.
Do you have a favorite memory of your brother as it relates to just life or his love for sports?
Oh, I have a lot of favorite memories of him. He was multi-talented. He could sing. He was an artist. He loved sports. Sports, you know, when he met people, if they didn't want to talk about his organization, he didn't want to talk to them. And he didn't talk to them very long, not at all. You know, and some people have said that
he was passionate.
Every time I talked, every time you talk to him, he's talking about nothing but that organization. And the organization, with him being focused, is what got him where he is right now. So,
I know when you do something like this, there's so many thoughts that go through your mind and so many memories, and it's hard to condense all of them into a short little period of time. But final question, is there anything in particular that you really want this audience to know and to remember?
well, him and he was well honored for the things that he had done. Him and Art Finney. There was a bust of each one of their heads made. There was a fist made. I think it was Ring 32 made one. He was the first non-boxer to have a fist made of his hand. And there's another International Boxing Association also made him an honorary member, and that was the first non-boxer that they honored in that organization. They've been in a lot of books. A lot of newspapers have written about them. I have a list, but I didn't bring it.
That's okay.
We can talk about that another time.
That would be the encore performance.
Yeah, okay. So they were well honored for the work that they have done. They received the key to the city from Coleman Young. It's just, I could just go on and on, the things that they've received for all the work that they have done.
Mm-hmm. Everything is now transferring from the old Wayne County building to the Wright Museum collection. Why did you want that transfer to take place? And why was it so important to you and to him that Wayne County housed it for such a long period of time?
Well, Dr. Arthur Carter and the Wayne County staff helped him with a location to house the museum. Mm-hmm. And they really never, I should say this, but
that's all right.
Okay, they really honored, they loved what the organization was trying to do. Uh-huh. So we never have, if my brother wanted a cabinet or something made, that's something additional that he needed to house some of the memorabilia in, they supplied him with those things, and they just he thought so much of him. And so since Wayne County was the place we had a lot of our meetings at, because I was a part of the organization and we were there every month, then I felt that Wayne County was the place, the museum was the place that it should be now.
Great. Well, they feel honored, and I think that's worth a round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much.
And we appreciate you taking the time and sharing all those memories, and for doing what your brother asked you to do. Make sure that this legacy continues.
I'm going to try.
You've done very, very well. Thank you.